Hey guys, welcome to Chef Grace's Place. So today we're going to be making a Chef Grace's Place original recipe called the Quesadilla. Now, the Quesadilla is a quesadilla. The term Quesadilla was coined by my friend Tudor. I started making this when I was a kid in high school because I loved quesadillas. But whenever I got them out in the restaurant, they were always soggy because they had vegetables in them. So I decided that I was going to make my own recipe. I experimented a lot, and then one day I was in the grocery store and I was looking for like a hot sauce that wasn't that hot. I just really wanted a lot of flavor. And I never forget, there was a woman in the aisle looking at all the different hot sauces, and I was like, hey, which ones do you like? And she pointed me to this hot sauce that had a parrot on it, and I just thought it was a cool bottle. It's called pick-a-pepper sauce. It's actually a Jamaican jerk sauce. I tried it out. I wound up adding some lime juice to the marinade, but it's really simple and delicious. I actually like to eat that chicken by itself. It just has such great flavors. And it also has bacon in it, and the tortilla is cooked in bacon fat. So you know this is gonna be good. So if you wanted to add vegetables to this, you could. Obviously I was in high school, so I did not have all the skills that I have now. But I really recommend, if you're going to put vegetables into this, to cook them first and try to cook as much water out as you can. This way you don't wind up with a soggy quesadilla. Nobody likes a soggy quesadilla. Also, if you're a vegetarian, instead of the bacon fat, you can always use vegetable oil to cook your chicken, or to cook your, oh sorry, you wouldn't be cooking chicken, duh. To cook your vegetables and to do the outside of the tortilla. So before we start making the quesadilla, we have to prep all the ingredients that go into the quesadilla. The first thing you're going to need to do is cook the bacon. I'm using about a pound of bacon here. The best way to cook bacon is to cook it, if you're going to cook it in the pan, is to cook it low and slow. I actually put all my bacon in the pan while it's cold, and it probably seem like I'm OCD, but I try to get as many pieces of the bacon in contact with the surface of the pan as possible. It's just going to help me get a nice even brown without having to do too much stirring and stuff. So once you have your bacon in the pan, start it low. And I'm just going to put mine on high because it's going to take forever for my pan to heat up. But if you're using a gas stove, you might have to start it low. You gotta just watch the heat. You want to see all the fat coming out of the bacon before it really starts sizzling. So the reason why we're going to do low and slow is because if we did it too fast, that's when you come out with that weird bacon where it's crispy on the outside and chewy in the middle, and we don't want that. We want crispy all the way through. So by doing it super low and slow, or not super low and slow, pretty much medium, we're gonna render all the fat, which means extract basically. We're gonna melt all the fat out of the bacon, and then we're gonna get that fat nice and hot, and that's gonna fry the bacon in its own fat. And that's how we're gonna get that perfect golden brown bacon bits to put inside our quesadilla. That's also how we're going to get the most fat out of the bacon, so we can use it later to cook our chicken in and to toast the outside of our tortillas in. When you're done cooking the bacon, you want to reserve the bacon fat. So you want to take like a ceramic coffee mug and, something that's heat proof obviously, and then just pour the bacon fat off the pan into the cup before you go wash your pan. The next thing we're going to need to do is cook our chicken. So you can cook it in the pan. So what I do is I take some vegetable oil and some bacon fat, and I put it together in the pan to cook the chicken. So the smoke point on bacon fat is very low. So That's why I'm combining it with the vegetable oil. That's going to help raise the smoke point, so my apartment's not going to be as smoky and the pan's not going to burn. When you put your chicken in the pan, you want to make sure that the oil's hot, so it should sizzle when you put it in, but also you want to put the chicken in the pan facing away from you, so this way if it splatters, it's not going to splatter in your face. It's going to go towards the back of the oven or back of the stove or whatever. So once your chicken is cooked about 60% of the way, you're going to see the white on the edges of the chicken, and then it's going to creep up towards the top. When it's about 60% of the way through, that's when you want to flip it. I always go a little bit more than 50 because it's just easier to tell when it's done. With the pick a pepper sauce, it's going to look a lot darker than if you were just cooking straight up chicken, because there's a lot of sugar in that marinade. So don't get freaked out thinking you're burning the pan. It's kind of like having like a blackened chicken. It's not going to taste burnt. It's going to taste really good. So don't worry about that. So once all your chicken is cooked, you're going to rest it on the cutting board for like 5 to 10 minutes. Great opportunity to go wash your pan and set up for your quesadillas. Okay guys, so before we get started, it's really important that you have your setup ready. One of the most important things to making quesadillas is that your tortilla that you're using fits in your pan. If it is going up the edge a little bit, it's not going to get nice and crispy, and it's just going to be hard to work with, which is another reason why if you have an electric griddle, those work really, really well for making quesadillas. So that's the tortilla size that I'm using. These are Presidente, in case you're wondering. Next thing is you're going to want your cheese. Now I'm using a Mexican blend, Monterey Jack, cheddar, asadero, and queso quesadilla cheeses. Plenty of different varieties of that, so just find one you like. I used to use the Sargento one because when I started making these, there weren't a whole lot of cheese blends in your supermarket. We have the chicken cut up into cubes. Bacon's ready. If you want, you can crumble them. Should be that crisp, or you could just leave them that size. Then I have the glorious bacon fat and a cutting board. I'm also going to be using this turner to pick it up, and of course my chef knife to cut the quesadilla when they're done. So I'm going to get started. I'm taking this out. I'm going to put the oven on high, and then we're going to put a little bit of bacon grease in there just to toast up the quesadilla. Alright, I can see my oil starting to dance around, so I'm going to throw my tortilla in there. I'm going to throw my cheese on. You got to work kind of fast, that's why you got to be set up. Cheese. Bacon. Now I put all of it on one side because we're going to fold it. And it's less than you'd think it would be. I'm going to turn my heat a little bit down. So we're looking for the cheese to melt. That's why we can't have it like so low that the cheese doesn't melt. You know what I'm saying? We want the cheese to melt before the outside of the tortilla burns. So you do it a couple times and you get the hang of it. And you want to check the tortilla. It's still okay. So my cheese is starting to melt a little bit here. Good sign. And this is why you want to make sure all your food is cooked before all the way, because this is not going to be able to cook chicken all the way through. You catch my drift. Alright, we're looking ooey gooey. So once we're pretty good. Oh. Now a little bit of color on the outside. I'm going to fold it over. Now I'm going to let it cook for a little bit on this one side, and then I'm going to flip it over and let it cook on the other side. And then that's going to be a quesadilla. See, this bacon fat is it makes this nice crispy crust. So you don't want it to be totally crispy when you try to fold it in half because it'll break. So just a couple minutes on that side. Like 30 seconds. You could see the smoke from the pork fat. Alright. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. Alright. Now I'm going to pick it up. Still looks good. Put it. Alright. So, beautiful. Maybe a little bit lower. Now I'm going to go into quesadilla making mode. Maybe a little more fat. Now my pan's nice and hot, so I don't really have to wait. Might be too hot. Might give it a second. You're gonna want to keep an eye on your heat. Now you might have to wash the pan once or twice, depending on how many of these you're making. Just so it doesn't get like burnt flavor, you know? But that's it, guys. I'm gonna finish these 3 tortillas and then eat one of them. Alright. So we're looking a little golden brown on the edges. I don't know if you can see that. It's poofing up. Kind of reminds me of like pancakes. Nice golden brown. Nice melted cheese. Couple more seconds on that side, move to the next one. Now all that's left is to cut these beauties. If you're using a saute pan like I am, you might have to go and rinse out your pan maybe every 4 or 5 quesadillas if it starts to burn a little bit. So once you have all your quesadillas done, it's time to cut them up. Now, of course, no quesadilla or quesadilla would be complete without the fixins. So I didn't have time to make my own guacamole today. I actually couldn't find any avocados that were that perfect ripeness for guacamole. So I have some store-bought guacamole here. My favorite sour cream I talked about in the last video from Whole Foods. And if you missed it last week, Noel and I made salsa. It's always nice when Noel comes on the channel. He's a funny guy. So we have our homemade salsa that we get to eat with our lovely quesadillas. One of the things I like about this quesadilla is that it's so crispy on the outside. So it really acts as a super good shelf for all your fixins. And you're still getting your vegetables because you got salsa, right guys? Mm. Mm. So good. So thanks for stopping by Chef Grace's place. A special thanks to Tudor for requesting quesadillas. I hope you make them with Allie. I'll see you next time on Chef Grace's place. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment. Crispy on the outside, chewy in the middle, guys. So good.